Hey guys, it's Adam here, and so I'm at E3. So today was kind of a big day. It's hot, and I'm sweating, and my hair's a mess, and whatever. And you'll notice the camera's actually somewhat stable. I have this tiny little free tripod type of thing that I came back into my room, and it was just on my. It was in the room. E3 is fun. So anyway, we're trying that out. So yeah, I'm still on site, obviously, so not far from a perfect video, but hey, at least I'm not like holding it like a dipshit the whole time. So sorry about the previous videos that have been like that, because it's been like that for a while here. Anyway, today what we're going to be talking about is I'm going to be doing, we got a couple of videos, conference reaction videos. I was invited to be at both the Xbox conference right here, as well as the Bethesda conference that I did today. So this video will be specifically about the Xbox conference, basically going over what happened and just kind of my reactions on everything. I took down a bunch of notes while I was there, and I'm going to read through them, and we're going to have some fun together, because I can barely read my own handwriting, because when you're in a dark room writing like that, and you have shitty-ass handwriting, that's just kind of what happens. But we'll see which ones I can remember, which is the power of E3, because if I can remember them, then they made some sort of impression, right? So let's go with it in order. The first thing that they showed was Outer Worlds. Now that game, so if you haven't seen Outer Worlds, this is one to look up if you're like a Fallout type of fan, because this game is made by Obsidian Studios, and it's very similar to how Fallout like New Vegas and Fallout 3 were. This is the one to watch if you're a Fallout person who was burned by Fallout 76, perhaps. I would suggest looking into that. So that game looks pretty cool. We've known about that game for a while, but they basically just gave us more information on it. So one to look into. Bleeding Edge was the next game. I don't remember too much about this, other than I kind of remember it being having that same type of look as like Rage and Borderlands. I could be misremembering that, but I do kind of remember it being the case like that. But it looked cool from what I recall. Next up was the Ori and the Blind Forest sequel, which I think is Ori and the Will of the Wisps or something like that. That looked good. That, you know, it's just a cool, traditional, like old school type of 2D platformer and everything. I liked the first Ori game, so I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that one. Then they showed Minecraft Dungeons, which I gotta say, I'm not a Minecraft dude, never was. But this was the kind of thing that was smart for Microsoft to do ever since they bought Mojang. And they've had Minecraft. They haven't done a whole lot with it. I mean, they've done stuff. Of course, they've put it on a whole lot of things. They've done a lot of merchandise. But other than like the Telltale, you know, Minecraft story mode, we hadn't seen them use Minecraft as like a whole new type of experience. At least not that I'm aware of. But this was cool, because I thought, the second I saw this, I thought, this is smart. This is like a dungeon crawler, hence the name Minecraft Dungeons. But it looked a little bit like Legend of Zelda with Minecraft. That could be stupid popular. Like, that could be stupid successful if that game is good. That is a smart idea, man. So good on them for doing that. Hopefully the game actually pans out well, because that was a good idea. Even though personally it wouldn't apply to me, but I can recognize that would be successful. The next thing they did was they talked about Game Pass. Games are going to start premiering on Game Pass now. Don't really like that. It's one of those things where I get why they're doing it. They're trying to push everybody more towards the digital side of things, and if games come out earlier on Game Pass, people are more likely to sign up for Game Pass as opposed to waiting for the retail editions and everything. It's a smart business move for what their plan is. As the old school gamer in me just certainly doesn't like that, but I get why they're doing it, and I'm sure a lot of people like it. With my hair, I'm sorry, I'm sweaty, dude. It is so hot today. I'm the only American that thinks in Celsius, and it was 30 degrees out today. My fellow Americans who don't know what that is, go look it up. It was balls hot. It was, ugh. And I was walking around, a lot of being around outside all day. Oh, it's terrible. Anyway, so I'm still in the cool down phase. And I'm sorry this video didn't come out earlier. It's just that I did not have time. After the Xbox conference, I went straight to the Bethesda conference, and whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, Game Pass stuff's going to premiere on that from now on. At least a lot of stuff is. Then the next thing they did was they showed Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which again is a game we've known about for a while. They showed more gameplay. Now I gotta say, the gameplay looks good, but I can't get excited for it, because at the end of the day, it's still ultimately an EA property. I think this is EA's last chance with the Star Wars brand. If they fuck this game up, I can't imagine Disney's gonna let them keep it any longer. Or at least they'll have no choice but to honor the 10 years, but will probably also give other people a chance at it. Kind of like there is a new Lego Star Wars game coming. We'll talk about that. There has to be certain outs. I want the game to be good. Don't get me wrong. I don't benefit from a game being bad, but I just never liked the idea of EA having it, and hopefully this is they learned something from the debacle of Battlefront 2, and they've finally delivered unto us a good Star Wars game in all the time that they've had that license, because they really haven't done it yet. But anyway, so I reserve judgment. Next up was Blair Witch. Now this, I had no idea there was a Blair Witch game coming. Of course, I think it was a world premiere, so I don't think anybody really knew. The funny thing about that one was it looked like this really intriguing horror game, and it looked like a lot of fun. Like actually, the vibe I was getting at first, there was a brief moment when I'm watching this when I'm thinking this is some sort of Silent Hill remake, and I was like, damn, that would have been a shocker for everybody to do a Silent Hill remake exclusively on Xbox. But that's not what happened at all. It's Blair Witch, as in the Blair Witch Project, the movie franchise, whatever. So that was actually the only part of it that actually brought me out of it a little, is because I've never been a fan of those movies or that franchise or anything like that. This, to me, just looked like a cool, separate horror type of entity game. And then to find out it's tied to that, it was like, oh. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad or anything. That's just that was just my reaction, but that doesn't mean anything. It could actually be quite good. And maybe that was just, hey, we'll put that popular movie series, formerly popular or whatever, and that'll help somehow. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Blair Witch lore to know how accurate that would actually be. But yeah, anyway, whatever, all good. So that was that. And then Cyberpunk 2077, two things happened with that. One, they spent a lot of time, CD Projekt Red's, big title, they spent a lot of time showing that game. And it looks really good. It looked really, really good. That's going to be a fun game. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the footage of that yet, go check that out. That looks like that's going to be awesome. Then, out of nowhere, they brought out Keanu Reeves. And I don't mean just oh, he's going to be in the game. Fucking Keanu Reeves walked out on stage. I was in the same room as Keanu Reeves. He was right there. And I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Because, I've been to a bunch of E3 conferences now. I have been in... celebrities have been there. Shigeru Miyamoto, of course, video game celebrities, but also people like Elijah Wood have been there at Ubisoft's thing last year. I'm spacing on his name, but the dude from Inception and Angels in the Outfield, 2 movies he did that are almost done, and Dark Knight Rises. Why? I'm sorry, I'm gonna be pissed at myself later. I can't remember the dude's name. Very good actor. But anyway, so he was there last year. But this year, hey, Keanu Reeves, what the hell? And that was really cool. So got to see Keanu Reeves in person. And Cyberpunk looks really good. You should look into Cyberpunk if you haven't. So the next one up was Spiritfarer. I don't remember what that was. Sorry. I vaguely remember it being a little 2D type of thing, but I don't remember enough about it, so I'm sorry. Then they talked about Battletoads. Now Battletoads is of course an old school franchise made by Rare back for the Genesis, SNES, arcades, of course, and stuff. Infamously hard game, and they're remaking it. And I had mixed feelings on this because I like the fact that Microsoft is bringing that back as a franchise. It's oh cool, that's going to be back. That's great. The actual gameplay to me looked like a Flash animated game. I don't know, it didn't sit with me visually. That doesn't mean the gameplay is bad. I would have to actually try it and judge it on that. But I didn't like the look of it. And that seems to be a common look that's happening now, is there's a lot of games that are getting this 2D Flash animated style. I think there was a Power Rangers game that looks like that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that particular style of 2D because I can't say it's lazy because I have no idea how hard it actually might be to produce something like that. But to me, it comes off looking cheap. So I wasn't a big fan of that. But that said, that I'm not going to judge the game on that alone. I would have to actually play it. Then they showed one called RPG Time: Legend of Right. I did not like the look of this game because the entire thing it's meant to look like a black and white scribble. The game itself might actually be really fun if you're into RPGs. I am not, so it lost me on that. But then aesthetically speaking, it also lost me. So there's nothing there for me. But if you're into old school RPGs, you might be into that game. Then there was a big thing for ID at Xbox, which I'm looking forward to. They showed 20 games. I couldn't possibly list these all or have valid opinions of any of them because they were just rapid fire. But I will have more information on that later. I was invited to the ID at Xbox party at E3 here in Los Angeles, so I'll be checking that out. And if I have time to give reactions or something like that, I'll do that. If there's any notable things, whatever. Then they went on to talk about Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So they were expanding the Xbox Game Pass program. It leaked early, so eventually they just made it public that Xbox Game Pass was coming to PC. I got to know about that in advance before it leaked, which was pretty cool. Although I don't use Xbox Game Pass and I don't play on PC, but you'd be surprised kind of weird stuff I become privy to. Yeah, anyway, so what I didn't know, because it was an announcement here, is they're doing this thing called Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, where I guess you'll get things a little bit early sometimes. You'll have access to Xbox Game Pass on consoles, or Xbox brands consoles, of course, and PC, but you'll also get Xbox Live Gold with that, and it's like $14.99 a month. So they're really trying to get people to use this. And I guess right now during E3, Xbox Game Pass is like $1. So I could see what, people will sign up for it. And I get that, because they're also going to have early access to games. Like, I get that. I hate that future, but I get it. The next one they showed really surprised me. They're bringing back Flight Simulator. Now, Flight Simulator was a big thing that Microsoft made before they were even doing consoles. They were doing PC games a lot. Like the traditional version of it. And it looked, as someone who flies constantly, have you looked at the last couple of videos I've done? I'm in Los Angeles now. The last one I was on site in San Francisco. The one before that I was in fucking Huntington, West Virginia. I get around. So I was looking, I'm like, oh, I know that city, I know that airport, oh, that's LAX, oh, that's O'Hare, oh, blah, blah, blah. So that I had that personal side of it that just found it kind of fascinating. But that's all good. But the game itself, I don't know how well that would play, because one of the things that always made that game more interesting back in the day was the actual arcade stick. So unless they're building something like that to go with it, I don't know how well it's going to sit, but I guess we'll see. But that's cool. Then they talked about Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. That's a very popular PC game. I know a lot of people who played the crap out of that back in the day. So I found it a little strange they were bringing it back, but hey, more as the dude who was like, I want Shenmue back, I get it. And so I think that's very cool. It's not my type of game, but I'm glad they did it. Wasteland 3, we talked about that. I never played the other one, but I thought the trailer was amusing. It takes place in Colorado and had this old school prospector who was kind of drunk and stuff. I thought that was funny. Then they announced that Double Fine was now acquired by Xbox, and they are the guys who made Psychonauts and a few other games. So Psychonauts 2 is coming to Xbox One, and I guess it possibly explains why Psychonauts 1 is backwards compatible on Xbox One, although I doubt it. That might have opened the door to the dialogue of how that transition occurred, but I don't think that it was planned or anything like that. Then they showed Lego Star Wars. That looked cool. Lego Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker Saga. So what that's going to be, I predicted this. I got an email to check out for at E3. I was like, "There's a new game in development by TT, and we'd like to have a meeting with you. We can't say what the game is." And I was like, it's going to be a new Lego Star Wars game, because the timing of it was just too perfect. And it turned out it totally was. Although I did not expect it to be announced on the Xbox stage. I just whatever. But I have an appointment to actually go check that game out, I guess, because it was supposed to be a mystery game. Now it's not. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, because those Lego games are a lot of fun, guys. I know they're designed for kids, but they're actually really, really good. So check that out at some point. It's going to include all 9 of the Saga films, so one can only assume that it won't have anything to do with Solo or Rogue One or the Clone Wars, or Rebels, I guess, too. But the primary movies will be in there, and it's coming out around the time that Rise of Skywalker comes out, which makes sense, because it'll include plot lines from that film. So yeah, that game looked pretty sweet. Okay. Third posted note. Because there were so many games announced to this thing. Phil Spencer came out and made a big deal about this is going to be the biggest game announcement show in the world this year, and he was right. In previous years I would have taken one of these and filled it out on both sides. This year I filled up 5 of them. Then they showed off, but I also wrote a little bigger too, to be fair. This year they also showed Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I think that's a character. I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Z is not my thing. I believe this game already was known. They were just showing. I think it was called like Project Z or something. So they just updated the name and they showed more gameplay. Like sorry, it's just. I know I get shit for this, but anime is just not my thing. So when I start watching it, I'm just like, like the interest level starts to tune out. I'm sorry. I know it's not professional. I'm sorry, but I couldn't. Then they showed this game called 12 Minutes. Now the idea is it's this guy who's trapped in a time loop of 12 minutes, and it just keeps restarting. And you have to figure out, I guess, how to solve this problem you're in within that time span, or it all starts over again. It gets more dramatic, and that's kind of the guy dies or whatever, and then he just restarts. I find it seems like a game that, I mean, obviously I haven't played it, but it seems like a game that once you solve the puzzle, the whole game has no value anymore, and like it seems like something that would be like a puzzle within a game as opposed to an entire game. But I say that just based on completely on assumption, because obviously I haven't played it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that one ends up being, because the trailer was very fascinating. Then they showed this one called Way to the Woods. All I remember about this one was that it was like this animated game with deer, and I hate deer. Someone who grew up in the Midwest, Chicago specifically, you learn to hate deer. So that certainly did not help me. Also, venison is gross. Don't eat it. That's all I remember about that. They showed a lot of Gears of War 5, which is just called Gears 5, I guess. Then they had a Terminator thing going on in there, so Terminator DLC, which I admit was cool to see. I don't think it got the reaction that they were hoping for, though, because one, they showed it and it was like, you know, I think they were expecting a big, like, holy shit, the Terminator, like we were all gonna lose our minds. And then because they showed it again at the end of the show, like it was one of their closing shots was a Terminator, and I just don't. As much as I love the Terminator franchise, I feel like nobody cares about it anymore, because people just don't seem to react to it, and that makes me really sad, because I love that franchise and I'm a super fan of it, but it just didn't have it. And I think the only thing that could have saved it, and I was half expecting this, I seriously was, because if you were in person on that stage, there was a part where they were doing all these like pyrotechnics and stuff, and there was like this hole that opened up in the center of the stage that, like, you saw it. There was like an elevator thing that dropped down. And what I thought was going to happen is they were going to have, when they were doing all this Terminator stuff, because they did the Terminator stuff off to the side, they did pyrotechnics, then Terminator like imagery in the background off to the side, and then I saw it. I saw the elevator thing drop down, and I was like, holy fucking shit, are they about to bring Schwarzenegger on stage? That would have got a reaction. But no, of course that didn't happen. But like, that was going through my mind. Like, you just brought up Keanu Reeves, you brought up Neo, why can't you bring the Terminator? You know, you got those two franchises are all like a movie away from connecting to each other, sort of, not really. But anyway, so no, that didn't happen. That would have been cool though. But as for Gears 5, which is probably more what you wanted to talk about, I've never been super into the Gears game, so I can't give the most educated of opinions on that. The game looks cool enough. I mean, we've seen footage of it before. This was more of an update to it. I guess, yeah, I'm certainly very willing to check it out, but, you know, like, it's not the most, I'm not diehard about it or anything like that. Then they showed off a lot more information about the new Elite controller, which I believe is $180, is way more customizable, etc., etc. I was never a big fan of the original Elite controller. I tried it at a few different media events and things like that, and I was like, I don't see a reason to pay for this personally. But again, I know people love that controller, so hey, if you like it, this is a better version of it. And they showed off a lot more of Dying Light 2, which is cool. I got a private demo of that last year, and I have another private demo of it this year. So I'm going to go check that out, and I'll have more to say at that point. Then they showed off, this was kind of a stunner. They started talking about Forza Horizon 4, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that game came out, but then I couldn't really remember. And then I realized why they were doing it, because they were basically showing off this thing called Lego Speed Champions, which is like a big DLC, and I guess it's available now or is about to be, for that game. It's like the entire game played out in Lego, which actually admittedly looked pretty cool. Like I said, I like Lego stuff. But yeah, that was neat. And then they actually brought out like a fully generated car in Lego form, which on stage, I mean, like, when you see it on TV, that's cool, whatever. Actually seeing it in person is like, damn, that's dedication. So I assume it will be available on the show floor at E3, and I'll probably take a look, but I'm sure a lot of people will as well, but just neat. Okay, next posted stamp thing. Then they showed Gears Pop, which I don't care about Funko Pops, and as I said before, Gears of War was never the biggest brand for me. I didn't realize it was a mobile game, So the second you say mobile game, I'm just like, I don't care. So I was kind of checked out at that point. Then State of Decay 2 Heartland. I'm not actually sure if this is a separate game or just a DLC. I find it a little weird that you would be having DLC for that game at this point, because it's been a while since that game came out. But then again, if it was a new game, wouldn't it be State of Decay 3? Why call it State of Decay 2 Heartland? I don't know. But so either way, it looked cool. But I'm guessing it's more of a DLC. But yeah, it looked cool. If you like State of Decay, more State of Decay. This was the big secret one. Phantasy Star Online 2. I might have had some idea this was coming. But yeah, so... but yeah, yes, Phantasy Star Online 2 is coming. And it'll be on Xbox and PC. And at least at the moment, it's going to be just planned for North America. Japan's obviously had it for like 8 years. But this particular version will be available in North America, at least the U.S. and Canada specifically, I assume. But yeah, so I know that a lot of people really wanted that. I've been fighting for that for years. It feels good, doesn't it? You know, it's like when Shenmue happened. It's a nice feeling. So congratulations to my fellow Sega fans, especially Dreamcast era fans, who I know have been just pining for that one. You got it. Unless you're outside of North America, but I'm sure it'll get there at some point. I can barely read what I wrote here. Then I think they started talking about this game called Cross. It looks like I wrote Crossfire X, but I'm betting it's Crossfire X. I think that was no. I don't remember what this game was at all. I have no memory. I'm sorry. And then they did Tales of Arise. That was like the anime one. That's I'm assuming it's a sequel to Tales of Vesperia and all that stuff. Again, not a franchise I'm super into, but they did that. I really can't remember Crossfire X. Wow, that's sad. Because I think that briefly when they showed it, I had some confusion about it kind of crossing over with Phantasy Star Online 2. So I think it was another online-only type of game or whatever. But I honestly don't remember. Then they talked about Borderlands 3. They showed more of that, which I'll be doing a capture session of that as well soon. And then they talked about a new expansion that's coming out for Borderlands 2, funny enough, that's like leads into Borderlands 3, and I guess it's free if you have Borderlands 2 or Borderlands the Handsome Collection or whatever, so go get it. Then they showed this game called Elden Ring, which is, I forget, there's a Japanese famous producer who's involved with that, as well as George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame. And the two of them, I guess, worked together to make this game, or at least make the story for it, whatever. I don't, much like everyone else, I didn't have much information on this other than what we saw. But funny enough, I'm not really a Game of Thrones type of dude, and I never was. But I'm curious to see where it goes. Then they talked a lot about xCloud. xCloud is another one of these things, kind of like Game Pass, where I'm just like, I don't want the future to go this way, because it's all about their streaming service, in which it's not something we didn't know. We've been talking about it for a long time, I've been predicting it on my channel for years, talking about that. But yeah, xCloud is just a service they're going to have that allows you to stream games and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, they're very excited about it and its ability to play games on multiple devices anywhere you want, etc., etc. But we'll see how that one plays out. Then naturally they started talking about Project Scarlet. Project Scarlet is still the code name for the next generation of Xbox. So yeah, they basically showed this video of a lot of the engineers talking about the next generation of hardware and what they put in it. And so we got a lot of development and engineering information, including that it's like 4 times more capable than the Xbox One X. I think they gave it a certain amount of RAM specifically. I don't remember what it was. I know it's gonna have they said it's gonna have an SSD in it, and they're gonna use that for additional processing power. And they basically were talking about how we've obliterated the concept of load times. Like, that's not gonna be a thing. One of the things, I mean, this is pure speculation, but it is, I swear the dude said it. One of the guys said it. He was talking about how it's going to play 4 generations of Xbox, or something to that extent. And it was just kind of a side-by comment that just kind of happened. And I'm thinking, you know what that means? Backwards compatibility. Now, my prediction for Scarlet was that it was going to have complete Xbox One compatibility, and then probably would just do whatever 360 and OG Xbox games that are already compatible with Xbox One because for licensing reasons. I doubt that they are going to make it perfect compatibility because in order to do that, from a legal standpoint, they have to allow it to play the discs. The short version of the way this works now is when you put your disc of an Xbox 360 or an original Xbox game in an Xbox One to play it, you're not actually playing the disc. It's just detecting it and it downloads an Xbox One compatible build of it through emulation. The reason it does that is because the Xbox One can't natively read those discs. It wasn't designed to do that. All it can do is detect what it is. But because of that, they have to also allow people to buy it digitally, and then because they have to buy it digitally, they have to have some sort of deal in place with the owners of those games, the license holders specifically. So you have to come up with arrangements and agreements for that to work from a financial standpoint. 360 is not as big of a deal because those games are newer and a lot of those development studios are still around. But a lot of the original Xbox stuff, those deals are long dead and they're too hard to figure out who owns exactly what in them. And if there's any sort of conflict, like one piece of music that somebody owns that's not the original company or whatever, done. You can't do that. So the only way to get around that is if they make it hardware perfect where it plays the original disc straight from the disc, which they won't do. I can't imagine they would do that because without the incentive of being able to resell it to you digitally, especially when they're all talking about Game Pass and xCloud and all that stuff, without that capacity, you'll never have complete perfect emulation like that. You just can't from a legal standpoint. From a hardware standpoint, sure, they could do it, but a legal standpoint, they'll never get away with it. So that won't happen. But yeah, so they talked a lot about it, but a lot of it was, again, just from the engineering standpoint and how they're excited about its capacity. The only other kind of concrete detail we got, which was kind of surprising, was that they announced the release date-ish, holiday 2020. And what that specifically means is sometime between October and the end of December, because that's, by U.S. definition, the holiday season is basically Halloween to Christmas. So it could be anywhere in there. Sorry about the sound, nothing I can do about it. And then they talked about the one and only game we know so far that will launch for it, which we all kind of knew already, Halo Infinite. And then they showed this really long but nice trailer for Halo Infinite. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And that pretty much wrapped it up. After that, it's just kind of the end. So I want to thank, first of all, thank you guys for watching. I hope you'll subscribe, like the video. I hate saying that, I really do, but it is what YouTube is now kind of requiring us to do. So seriously, if you don't mind, just a little like button, a little subscribe button, it would be really great. Thank you to Microsoft there for inviting me to this. That was really cool of you to do. Again, thank you guys very much for watching. I will do this again for Bethesda and Ubisoft because I'm going to those, or I already went to the Bethesda one. And a couple of little small announcements here. Obviously, I'm here at E3, so if you see me, come up, say hi, whatever, it's all good. I will be at Too Many Games in Philadelphia. Same thing, come on up, hang out. And then I'm also announcing that I will be at the Missouri Game Con in St. Louis in August, which is obviously further away, but I'll be at that as well. So same deal. Hope to see some of you guys there. Again, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you later. Goodbye.